My name is Maria Thompson, and I'm president of Coppin State University, and I'm here with my coworkers, Dr. el-haggan, Vice President for Information Technology and CIO, Mr. Prasad Dadana, Director of Information Systems, and Dr. Dion Kirby, Director of Instructional Technology and IT Training. So first, a little bit about our institution. We were founded in 1900, and we are one of the 12 institutions in the University System of Maryland. We're located in Baltimore. We're a historically Black institution, and we have about 3,000 students. And like any other comprehensive university, we have a number of undergraduate degrees, master's degrees, and we do have one doctoral degree. We have a number of key assets, but I'm just going to list 4 of them for you today for this presentation. We have a cradle-to-career education continuum. We're one of the few universities in the United States that educates people from the age of 6 weeks all the way up through the doctorate. We have a child care center that takes students at 6 weeks, and we call them students. And then we have an elementary, middle school, and then a high school, and then the university all the way through the doctorate, which makes us a great test bed for longitudinal studies regarding education. We have what we call a multi-generational student body. The average age of a student on our campus is about 28 years old. The largest percentage of students exists between the ages of 35 and 64, but we also have traditional age, 18-year-olds, traditional age college students on our campus. So we have a rich learning environment because of this multi-generational student population. Also, we serve underrepresented and differently prepared populations on our campus. If you see the phrase differently prepared in the literature, that was coined on our campus. Other people use the phrase underprepared. We don't like to use that phrase because we found that our students are very determined and they may be differently prepared than most traditional college-age students. However, we know that they are prepared to learn, so we call them differently prepared. Also, our urban location is a great asset. Given that 2/3 of all Americans live in or near an urban area, our campus is a great living learning laboratory where faculty, staff, and students can engage in finding solutions to most of the problems that Americans face. So those are some of our key assets. Our challenges. Like many universities, we are facing challenges with enrollment. Now, there are a number of reasons why campuses have these challenges. As all of you know, there's been a demographic downturn. 18-year-olds weren't born 18 years ago, therefore they're not lined up to apply for college and enroll. Also, just in general, there's an older population. People are living longer. So therefore, the traditional market for universities is not there, and we've experienced about a 10-year decline in enrollment because of demographics and probably other factors. I say competition. You can't swing a dead cat in Baltimore without hitting a university. So there's lots of competition in the Baltimore area. So our main challenge is around enrollment. And I'll talk a little bit about student success in a minute. And because of the underserved population that we target, for us, student success starts with getting the students enrolled. So what is our solution? How do we approach this? We decided to start the Data Democratization Project on our campus. So why did we democratize our data? We wanted to make sure every single employee every single employee, not some, not a few, not almost all, every single employee focuses on our ultimate goal, which is student success. So, a little bit about the history of analytics at Coppin State University. We began using analytics in 2004. Our ERP system is PeopleSoft. Our BI tool is ProClarity, and the analytics component was supplied by iStrategy. Now, many of you know that iStrategy was purchased by Blackboard a few years back, and we decided to continue with Blackboard and iStrategy for our analytics because we wanted to maintain a stable and user-friendly system for not only the faculty who were accustomed to using this interface, but also for our back office IT staff as well. So from 2004 to 2015, analytics tools were used on campus, but mainly by a handful of people. The use was pretty limited between 2004 and 2015. In July of 2015, there was an executive leadership change. This is when I came to Coppin State University. I started July 1st, 2015 as president at Coppin State University. So I'm like a kid in a candy store. When I get there and I see all these analytics tools, I came from a campus that used data some. That campus just didn't have the IT and analytics infrastructure that Coppin State had. And being in love with data, I was just, oh my God, I've landed in a great place as president. So in the fall 2015, we started the Data Democratization Project. And then by spring of 2016, we're using our executive dashboard to frame discussions at cabinet and all of our shared governance meetings where we had the faculty senate president, a staff senate president, student body president, and the leader of our adjunct group. We would all meet with the cabinet in what we call our shared governance council meeting, and we would always just bring up the live data. The very first thing that happens when I walk in the room, everybody knows, pull up the live data, here comes the president. So during our meetings, this is how we framed our conversations. By academic year 2016-2017, we established a goal that every single employee would have access to what we called a campus dashboard. And by the spring 2017, this is just the first paragraph of a communication that was sent out by our IT to the campus announcing that the campus analytics dashboard is now available. And if I included the rest of this communication, it talked about availability of training and how you could access the dashboard. So how does data democratization support student success? First, it focuses everybody's attention on institutional goals because the panel on the campus dashboard focuses primarily on student data and especially on enrollment data, since our number one goal on the campus right now is to increase enrollment. That it focuses, if you log on, you are hit smack dab in the face with all the enrollment funnel data from applicant all the way through enroll and all the intermediate parts. So you can't help but see what's going on if you log in every day with our enrollment. And there are other student success data on there as well, but that's the first thing that you encounter. So everybody's attention is focused on enrollment just by logging in. It lowers the walls of silos. Now that we all have a common framework for discussing student success and enrollment, and we're all looking at the same live data every single day, we have a common language and a framework in which to discuss it, regardless of whether we're in one part of the campus or another, whether we report to one vice president or another, we all are looking at the same thing at the same time. So that tends to bring the walls of the silo down. It concretizes information. Now, there are many graphical formats on the dashboard, and if a number isn't doing it for you, the pie charts or the arrows going up or the arrows going down are making it very clear what's happening with some of our metrics. It supports organizational learning because we all get in the same room at the same time. We open up the dashboard, we start to look at it. We have 5 years of data displayed on the very same day. For instance, if I opened it up right this minute, I'd have 5 years of data for July 25th for this year and 4 years before. So we start to look at this and try to see trends and figure out what's going on. And because we have other vice presidents, functional users, faculty, all in the same room at the same time discussing it, we start to learn as an organization about how to be successful by discussing the data. So we learn from each other, and we become a learning organization through this democratization project. It increases transparency. So there are no more data elites, on our campus. There's transparency about the data when it comes to student success. Gone are the days when only I or the deans or the VPs have the data. We have complete transparency when it comes to the student success data that's on the executive dashboard and the campus dashboard. Now, there's role-appropriate drill down. Not everybody has the same drill down access for various reasons. Not everybody needs to know every single thing about every single student. But in the aggregate, we absolutely want everyone to be looking at the same data at the same time. Last but not least, it enables data-supported decision-making at every level of the institution. Now, what sense does it make to have the president making data-driven decisions and nobody else is, or cabinet-level persons or deans making data-driven decisions and nobody else is? So that everybody can make a decision about what to do that particular day, how to direct your activity. Look at the data and you see what you need to be doing that day. So we all get to make data-driven decisions now that we have democratization of the data. So an example of data democratization in action, and I have a faculty member right here up front. I didn't plan her there, she just decided to sit there. But we have immediate faculty outreach to applicants. We have newly admitted students that she can reach out to by logging on and drilling down. Because she's a faculty member, she has drill down access. And if she has any current students that she notices they haven't signed up for courses for fall 2017, she can drill right down, make the call, the email, the text, communicate with the student and see, that's what she's doing now. She can make that immediate contact with no more waiting for that third-party report from a person that's probably inundated with other reports that they've been asked to do. She can do that herself. So what success indicators do we have thus far? In the fall of 2016, we experienced a 50% increase in the freshman class after several years of decline. And we attribute this to the fact that there was not a day actually there was hardly one day other than weekends and holidays when we weren't all just focused around the data and the discussion and taking actions in order to make that increase happen.
Wouldn't you like to have such a president to your campus? Now, it was really, as Dr. Thompson said, we have that project since 2004, 2005. The whole massive change happened because we have an executive leadership change and sponsorship. That's the secret sauce that really made it happen at Coppin, and actually we were able to expand on the usage because of the importance of it. The photo you saw here is one I took. She sits in the cabinet close to our Surface Hub, and she managed that herself. She pulled the dashboards and she started talking about data. And that made a big difference. And the idea of the democratization of data really picked it up at Coppin State University. Let me talk to you a little bit about what we have behind what was going on. We have certain guiding principles that guided our implementation. Number one, public data is open. No secrets are there. This is governed really by FERPA and HEPA in case of drill downs. Otherwise, it's open. You look even into NIST 800-171, it's called unclassified, so it's open. So there is no need really to make any secrets out of it, except, as I said, whatever data is protected by PII and whatever that stuff is. Now, having such cross-campus access to data really broke the silos between the discussions, between the divisions, between the colleges, between the departments. And now, here's another one. Data is used to make decisions. In an effort to, I'm coining here what Dr. Thompson used to tell us, continuous quality excellence, not improvement, excellence, is not used for punitive measures. It's not used to evaluate faculty or staff measures. It's mainly the focus on what? Making the right decision based on the data, not scaring anybody out of the data. Those were just general guiding principles we used as we democratized the data. Let me talk quickly about what we have, not every analytics we have, but I'm going to focus on what we call student analytics at Coppin. We have several modules per se, student analytics, learning analytics, and Diane's going to cover that, financial aid, and we are in the process of developing the cost of instruction. It's a very important factor. It's going to bring the discussion to a whole different level, to academic areas about the cost of instruction and what's going on there based on a financial picture. In the student analytics, we have tons of analytics reports. There is admission, enrollment, cohort analysis, classes, ad hoc reports, registration, all that stuff is under our student analytics in different modules. Tons of reports. Just to give you a glimpse, like in admission, we have a lot of reports there that talks about admission. And each one of those you can slice, you can dice, you can look into the history, you can bring different fall, different semesters, you can see all that, longitudinal, vertical, whatever you want. You can do all the above in different areas. Trends are there, academic credentials are there, all that stuff is under admission. I'm not going to go through all of them. Enrollment has the same thing, where you can look into the enrollment trends and what's going on. And you can actually, as I said, look by academic level, by what we call plan, by college, by department, and all that is available across the board. Then we have degree awards. Success ends with a degree. Well, that's how we define it. So what's going on? Who awarded the degree? What's going on there? What are the trends and all that stuff? I'm not going to go through each and every one of them, because that's going to take the whole session and more. But just to give you a flavor of what's going on in campus and what the data are available for everybody on campus. So it's a wealth of data. Well, we need to focus it, and that's where the executive dashboard came in. Now, one of the good things is I sit on the cabinet. As Dr. Thompson said, I listen to the discussions. I listen carefully to the discussions and what is going on. I can sense really what's the important stuff going on in the cabinet discussions and in different areas. And then I go back to PD and say, make it happen. So it's nice to have such a support in my job. So we, based on that different discussions, we created what we call an executive dashboard that's available to all the executives with drill down ability, where they can actually go all the way down to the student record. It has application summary, it has trends, it has comparative analysis. How was it going on a year from today? Back there, previous year, previous year, previous year. What are the trends? What's going on there? Why? So that's where the discussions start happening around enrollment and other factors. Geographical information, where are students applying from, where they live, what's going all there. And all that actually, again, drill down. You have all the ability to go all the way down to a student level. That's the executive dashboard. So, as I said, it's not just for the executive, actually. It's for the deans as well. It's for the chairs of the departments, or for anybody who is authorized by the supervisor to access it. It's a way to bring all those massive number of reports to a simple area where we are focusing the discussions. That's the only reason we have an executive dashboard. Then Dr. Thompson said, I want this for the whole campus. everybody who work at Coppin should be able to access this data. Now, as I said, we are governed by FERPA and HIPAA. So drill down becomes an issue for some people who don't have such privilege based on the job description. So that's why we came up with a separate dashboard that have different access, but have about the same information. And believe it or not, some is here, not there, so it depends. It's an evolving process, and we change it all the time. It's a dynamic, it's fluid. But this data here is accessible to every employee at Coppin. If you can enter time, you have access to this data without drill down, but you can slice and dice as much as you want. You can filter. The only thing that you don't have here is the drill down, because again, it's open across the whole campus, so an employee anywhere can get it, and they may not have the right, or they shouldn't have FERPA access to the students' records. Now, we have another, so we talked about the executive dashboard is governed by the same principles. Campus dashboard, which is open to everybody, governed by the same principles, and breaking silos between what's going on our campus. And then we have a deans and chairs briefing. We call it deans and chairs briefing. It has the whole 9 yards that you have seen before. They have access to all this data there, either admission, enrollment, graduation, classes, all the above is available to deans and chairs. And whoever is authorized by the faculty, by their chair, they get access to it with drill down ability. So all that is available to what we call deans and chairs. Now, we decided, again, it's data democratization. We don't segregate by college. We do not segregate by department. Any dean can see any data anywhere. So it's not the nursing school can only see nursing, and the college of business can only see college of business. The students change majors anyway. They change colleges anyway. So we don't control it this way. If you have access to the briefing or to the dashboard or wherever, you have access to all the above. We do not segregate by department. We do not segregate by college. It's open. It's democratization of data. Now, all deans and chairs have access to all drill downs through these briefings or through those dashboards. You can go down all the way to the student's record and find out what's going on. Grades, whatever they need, is down there to the student record. Any faculty who's authorized by their chairs have access to the same amount of massive reports on analytics with all the powers that we have using our BI tool. So I end by saying the whole campus have access to all kinds of data. The only control is FERPA and HIPAA, and that's it for the drill down. We created the dashboards just to frame the discussions and just to focus the discussions.
With two champions of analytics, I don't need any other support. So they set the tone, they set the goal for me to continue with campus dashboard deployment. The theme behind it is it should be reflective of what's in the executive dashboard, but available to the campus users. And our challenge was, how do you provide access without giving the ability to drill down, but still give them the what we call expandable access? Meaning, if you look at the enrollment count, not just looking at the head count at the college level, but at the program level, with the plan level, what is the highest enrollment popular program for applicants, etc. So that is we wanted to come up with some meaningful way with less maintenance, how we're going to manage such an access. And also the format and content, finalizing the content, how we're going to provide it, how much of a detailed information needs to be provided to the campus community. That was one of our challenges also. And also, on the other hand, we are a small IT shop. We wanted to minimize our effort in maintenance and authentication, all that that goes with the securing access. And we are using the pyramid analytics, and out of the box, it provides what we call power user a basic access, but we also wanted to provide federated user access so that campus users who log in should be able to just sail through without having for the IT to set up access for hundreds of employees who may be coming and going within the year. So that was our challenge, and we addressed in two-phase, approach. Campus dashboard development, since Dr. Thompson has talked about the campus dashboard, executive dashboard needs to be reflective of campus access. So we created a prototype of the campus dashboard with 6 different panels, and we presented it to the President's Cabinet for their approval. So they wanted to take a look at it and let us know what is that, how we're going to deploy that. Then we also had hosted focus groups. We had a few individuals from a couple of different departments take a look at it, give us some feedback, and we sort of tweaked the reports to make it work, and we agreed on how we're going to deploy that. So we were concentrating on designing of the campus dashboard, and then we would look at the deployment, et cetera, the technical part at a later phase. So we published the dashboard. After publishing the dashboard, we got feedbacks, and we continue to monitor and then make changes. And in fact, we currently have a couple of additional panels to be added to the campus dashboard as we speak because of the interest from the President and also some of the focus groups. On the technical design side, our front-end pyramid analytics, we had, we wanted to provide a basic power user access as well as federated forms access. That was our requirement. That has to be done. But what we found out from our research is co-locating both type of access in the pyramid instance is out of the ordinary. It is not the normal. So since we are already in production mode with the pyramid analytics, we had to go back and reinstall pyramid instance and do customize many number of files, edit the XML files, and copy directory, etc. So we decided to take the second approach, which is, it may look like a duplication of maintaining a pyramid instance, but on the other hand, it provides a greater degree of control in terms of the back-end, tool management. So if we have a separate instance of the pyramid instance, so we can control, and also any of the patches and fixes upgrade comes through, we can use the deliver tool and processes to upgrade our version of the 2 instances with little effort. And also it gives us a greater degree of managing what type of reports we want to deploy to the campus community, et cetera, et cetera. So here's our topography of our instance setup currently. Our production is on the right side. This is where we started. We have the executive and power user access, and we have the end users. We go through a pyramid instance through a server crash, and then the back end we have the metadata. And on the left-hand side is what we came up with to make it available to the campus users. This is a little bit customization that goes in. Campus users, we wanted the campus users, anybody who has access to what we call time entry on campus, they come through the portal. So automatically we assign, because they have been hired at the HR system. So we tagged along the campus dashboard access to the time entry so that only those people who have time entry are the employees, because we do have volunteers and others on campus who are in the ERP system. We didn't want to give them to access. So they have the access and they come through, and there is a link, and that will facilitate their anonymous proxy access to the pyramid analytics. So the individual, if I'm an employee, I don't need to have a separate role, separate access to access this campus dashboard. Instead, I log into the portal and then go through and then access the campus dashboard. This is how our campus ERP dashboard looks like. As you can see, you have a highlighted link. On the left-hand side is the number of analytics reports available through 6 or 7 different panels, and we are still increasing. We are getting more requests to add additional requests. Actually, the last report, what's called building utilization by room, day of time, there was an interest by many of the individuals on campus to take a look and see how is the buildings are being utilized, which room is busy, what is the schedule of classes. So we are currently on our list, to-do list is make available the cohort size, how many students, etc., and also students who have graduated by college or few years trend reports. So we are still, it's in constant changing. So we deployed a diverse way of training. It was not just classroom hands-on training. We also did a virtual training, and our initial session, we had about 80-some individuals log in. It was a 45-minute session, and they got a walkthrough of what it's like, and then we got a very positive feedback. We also publicized on social media, etc. And one of the, we are sort of emphasize our training is not necessarily just a navigation of the analytics as a software, not go here, click this button, click this button. We sort of provide insight. If you look at the data, here's the applicant pool, what is happening. A lot of people don't realize on campus, even on campus, they don't realize what we call admissions funnel, for example. You have applicants applying, then they have to meet certain requirements, then they go through admission, then they go through matriculation, then they enroll. So that is a number of steps that goes through. Many of the campus who came for our training had no idea. They only thought apply and then enroll. So now they have a better, what we call appreciation for all the things that goes through. Same thing with the enrollment process. People who come for spring semester, not all of them get to come back for fall semester. They get what we call term activated. So they know what goes in. So having access to these dashboards showing that break, and also you can look at the yield rate, admissions versus enrollment. And also in the enrollment, they can see how many of the students from a college at a particular plan are currently enrolled, how many are yet to enroll, what we call, they have been term activated, they have not yet enrolled. Although they cannot get into the details behind the scene, they can expand a college all the way to the plan level. So giving that insight, I think earlier Dr. Thompson in her presentation, one of the factors was organizational learning. So it sort of enriches our campus community to better appreciate what the process that goes through in the admissions office and records and registration, and also have a better, learned, experience for them. So once you deploy the solution, we need to know, is it effective? How is it being used? Who logs in? So out of the box, our analytics tool has a very limited usage reports. So it tells you logged in today, or by date you can do summarize and get the details. So we customized, we created a customized report that provides us a lot more insight on the usage. So it's not necessarily saying who's not using it, it is saying how people are using it. That is of interest for us so that we can see and mitigate, and maybe, after the training is done, if you don't see an uptick on the usage, we can say, do we need to add more sessions? Do we need to do something else? So this reporting module gives us the capability to look at either by a slide, or we have what we call parameters or filters. So we can even recognize somebody used not just a slide, they went and looked into this parameter to change. I want to look at the returning graduate students, or transfer students from a particular school, particular college. So this gives us a lot of capability to take a look at it and analyze the usage and adjust our training strategy, and also deployment of our additional dashboard panels. We refresh our analytics warehouse every night. So the data, what you see, sometimes people say, oh, it's in the what we call a data book or fact book published by institution research. But the data here, although you do not have access to the detailed information. What does this number behind the scene, the student information? The data is dynamic, so you can see the change on a day-to-day basis. If you look at the enrollment today, tomorrow is going to be different. So it has a lot different value than looking at the institution research frozen fact book. So here we have a sample report of our top active users. Generally, we get, it comes from the user ID. For better presentation, we transform that user ID into the responsibility. In this case, President Thompson is always on the top on the usage-wise. And also you can see Vice President for Enrollment Management, what is the usage? And it's interesting to see executive assistant to the provost. And she has a very high ad hoc query count. So we're kind of wondering what happened. So this is kind of insight because she's in a couple of different committees in preparing data for the middle states who's supposed to be coming and visiting campus next year. So she's digging into the analytics to pull out various reports. So we concentrate in this report to show or highlight, it's not the number of reports you log in that's what's considered high volume usage. Instead, we look at the content usage. You have the dashboard, how many dashboard views. You go to a admissions panel, that's one dashboard view. But if you go and change the filter, I want to look at the transfer student, it considers as an ad hoc query. So that level of detailed access to the usage, you don't get it. So we had to create our customized report. And the same note, these are what's called power users. And we also have similar analytics for the usage, analytics for the campus user. These are the ones who, when we deployed in the month of March, end of March, these are the campus-wide users. Remember, we said we wanted to give them anonymous access so that we don't know, but through the portal they log in without having to authenticate. So this is the sum of all the activity. It's interesting to see even the campus-wide user, although they don't have drill down capability, they are actually changing the filters to look at different population. The filter, for example, if you go to the applicant summary page, the term is a default. You know, people applying for fall semester. Then you have a career, undergrad, grad, you can select. Then you have admit type. You want to select a first-time freshman, or you want to select a transfer student. Then you also have what we call application method, whether they applied through online application or they came through some third-party resource, or a common application. So those things will lend us to take that group and drill down all the way to the college level to say how many people applied from a specific source to different colleges.
All right. So one of the things that that has been mentioned as the theme is the data democratization, and that making sure that everyone has access to the data. One of the things that as your culture embraces data, you'll notice that it'll trickle down to everyone, including the students. Now, you've noticed that in the parameters of this conversation that the students don't have the access to the main data, and of course, that's for FERPA and HIPAA regulations. However, they do have access to certain data that can help them take part of their own rescue, if you will, as we see for the Analytics for Learn. So briefly, I'm just going to look at or just go through some of the things of what Analytics for Learn does and how this helps us to embrace the fullness of data in every aspect. And that with the A4L, it looks at the various aspects of Blackboard so that we can provide the actionable insights from that perspective. So that data helps drive the course redesign initiatives, training, the student ownership of their success, and of course, innovative practice. And again, we don't believe in silos for this data either. We have the data available to the executive dashboard, deans, department chairpersons, faculty, and the students. And once again, believing that there's no such thing as secrets or silos, that deans and department chairpersons can also look at one another's data. So the College of Business for A4L can also look at what's going on in the School of Arts and Sciences and so forth. Now, as an example, what we have here is one of the dashboards that we have for analytics, and this is the Dean's dashboard. And as you can see that, one thing that we've learned that people get afraid of numbers, but when you put things in an easy to understand dashboard, it makes it so much easier and they gravitate to it more. And it makes a bitter pill swallow for some people who believe in the old data of charts and graphs and all these long spreadsheets. This is like, oh, so this is what it means. As Dr. Thompson mentioned earlier, you can understand an arrow going down. You can understand an arrow going up. You can understand a warning sign, a green sign. So it makes it very, very important and critical that the graphical interface is appropriate and easy. In this case, for the Dean's dashboard, one can see a scorecard looking at the course tools that are available in different courses, the courses that are using the content and the level, the percent of the courses that have been accessed, and even the grade center. And these are just some of the reports that are available for our Ds and chairs and the executive dashboard. The advising reports. We often like to use our A4L as a launch pad for when they sit and talk to students for advisement. Looking at the instructor at a glance. Similar to the same guiding principles, it is not a punitive tool. It is not part of course evaluation. It is not of something that is even for to deter for promotion and tenure, but something that will help us build actionable insights so we can continue to improve our programming. This one here is for the student analytic to check my activity, our student-facing analytics. This is available for students directly off their course menu, and we also put it in the course Blackboard portal, so the students can access it directly from a course or students that go inside of Blackboard, and they can compare in aggregate forms in terms of their course accesses, the minutes they spent in the course, the interactions, submissions, as well as the grade center score compared to one another. Now, again, we're building a culture of data understanding and embracing that. So it's important to get the students involved in this as well. But we know that we said a lot, and we know that we've gone through a lot, and you probably want more information. Ovum has done a case study featuring Coppin State University, looking at how we grew that enrollment of our freshman class. I've created a bit.ly link for you all. If you go to bit.ly, bit.ly/Coppin case study, it takes you directly to the Blackboard site, a place in Blackboard where you will be able to download that case study. And it goes even more in terms of looking at our Student Success Council, looking at the different ways of how the leadership played a role and how we were able to embrace all this change.